Video. I'll wait for Paul. Okay. Da, 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 da.
Good to see you.
Mate, nice to see you too. How you been? You well?
Yeah, not too bad. How have you been?
Yeah, been all right actually. This is the future, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Evidently so. You know, we're making films on here now. We're doing interviews where we're building connections with everyone on this. So
I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy the comfort of my own home just a little bit.
Yeah, no, same. Definitely.
I spoke to Georgia right now, Georgia Small. So she says to send you her love. So
fantastic! Yeah.
I wanted. Thanks again for talking to me. By the way, I know you're pretty much really busy. And you've got a long schedule. So
not at all. My pleasure. Thank you for wanting to chat to me.
You're welcome. I wanted to first start with. Well, I first wanted to ask with how's your lockdown been? Basically, how's lockdown been? Well, last time and this time.
Well, last time was a good balance actually. I had sort of 5 or 6 weeks where, I mean, obviously I went into the year with like a certain things planned and certain films planned which were going to be shot in the traditional way, and then obviously that all had to get put on hold. And then I had 6 weeks of not doing very much, but it was a much needed break. I've been working pretty hard up until that point, and the Complex released just at the start of that lockdown, which was the first interactive film I did. So I had sort of 5 or 6 weeks of just like relaxing, exercising, playing PlayStation with my friends, staying in, doing quizzes. Like everyone seemed to be doing quizzes. So it was good. But then literally like, you start to get itchy feet and, I really want to do some work. So it was timed perfectly that, John, the producer of the Complex, sort of rang me up and was like, look, let's try and make something during this period. And we were seeing other people were starting to do it, like Netflix had that Homemade series and Staged and certain and other things were starting to get made remotely. So we were like, let's have a go at that. And I kind of, so then this project happened, and that took up all my time full time for the whole of that lockdown. And then now this lockdown again, it's focused on the release of it. So I've been quite blessed that I've been able to have projects that have occupied my attention and time during both lockdowns to give me some sort of purpose. So I've been quite lucky in that respect. Yeah.
I mean, the film, 5 Dates, The Complex, just amazing. White Chamber before. I remember I met you before when we did.
Of course, in Fright Fest. We met Fright Fest, didn't we?
Right, yes, exactly. Yeah. So, to be honest, I absolutely love your line of work. And I absolutely admire, like, each film that you make. Like, you've got, each one is just as great as the last one, and you keep pushing and you're going to new boundaries each time, which is brilliant.
Oh, Ali, that means a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
Anytime, it's like, for example, I never thought that I would see like a film like The Complex, for example. I'll start with The Complex, where it was interactive and you can play it as a game, and it sort of unleashes to like new chapters and stuff. And I never thought that you would actually do it with virtual dating, for example, like with 5 Dates, for example.
Yeah.
You have like this multiple choice being like Vinny, so you're playing as Vinny and you don't know what you're going to do, and you're sort of always thinking, oh, I hope I impress her, I hope I get the right answer with her, because I really want to lead to a good story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, where did the idea come from? Like, for example, was you talking to with the other producers, like with the producers, like with other companies, or was it like something that you came up with yourself? Was you like doing a speed dating or virtual dating maybe last time? That idea.
It was. I think anyway. I went once I got into the interactive, realm with the Complex, which we made last year, and that's kind of something, an area, a format that I'm really passionate about, and I really want to get into more. And it was always in the back of my head, even before the pandemic, that it would suit the rom-com. It would suit a dating scenario, even if we were able to shoot it out in the real world, which maybe we might be able to in the future. But so it was always an idea that was kind of percolating in my head. And I remember at the start of lockdown, a lot of articles and stuff were getting written about how is this going to change the dating world, and video dating became a big thing, and lots of the apps started integrating it, and there were lots of online articles about it and stuff like that. So it was kind of an easy switch from that concept I already had in my head to shooting, to what 5 dates ended up being like aesthetically. So it was something that was always really in my head, and then it was just the time, everything, the pieces fell into place for it to be, the best thing that we could make, given all the restrictions that we were under lockdown. So it was something that was always there. It just needed the right circumstances or wrong circumstances for it to be realized.
With the concept, with the future, I wanted to ask your opinion and see, now that you've made these two films, and now that you've made them interactive, and that you can now play them using Steam, or you can go on PS, on your PlayStation, Xbox, Macs, Windows, and Nintendo Switch, to name a few. Do you feel more confident, and do you feel like you want to now share more of your creativity through this medium?
I definitely think so. And what I really like about the medium is you're able to reach two different audiences. The game, I think in the last few years, especially, we're seeing more and more overlap between the gaming audience and the film audience. Mm-hmm. Whether that's having more motion capture of Hollywood actors appearing in video games, and more cinematic stories and cinematography that you're seeing in the video games, or video game adaptations within film and TV. So I think these are two audiences at the moment that are really starting to coalesce, and I think interactive films is a really great halfway house between the two of them, between the two the two crafts and two formats. So that excites me. And also, beyond just the interactive versions, I have an ambition to make, not just the interactive version of a project, but also a linear version that could release as a more lean back traditional filmic experience. So I think I like the flexibility of it as a format, and the scope of it, that you can, as you would have seen in the Complex and 5 Dates, just the sheer flexibility and malleability of story and character that you can create depending on how the viewer or player wants the story to unfold. And that scope really appeals to me, rather than having to make definite decisions as you would do in a traditional linear film. So I think there's a lot of it allows you to express yourself a lot more. It allows you to take your story, because usually when you're writing or making a film, you have a set path. And during the writing process, especially, you have to make concrete decisions about what a character does, who they are, what direction they go. Whereas you can kind of keep all those ideas in an interactive film and have them as various, and explore what would happen if they went down those different paths. So it's definitely something I want to be staying in and doing more content in.
Yeah. You've got an amazing cast. You've got Georgia Hurst. You've got Marissa Albella, if I pronounce that correctly.
Marisa Abella, yeah.
Marisa Abella, sorry, my bad.
No, that's all right.
Mandeep Gill, Taheen Modak, Georgia Small, Demi Ladipo, Sinead Harnett, and many others. How did it feel how does it feel? Well, actually, how did you go about getting such a great cast together? Did you know any of them before? Mutual friends, or like I
knew Georgia Hurst before. I'd worked with Georgia Hurst before on another interactive a fantasy project that will hopefully be coming out in very shortly. So I'd already worked with her, and I definitely wanted to work with her again. So she was someone I wanted to be part of the project. Everyone else I was working with for the first time, and we've got an amazing casting director called Heather Baston, who the Complex. So this is my third time working with her actually on an interactive project. So, and our relationship now is such that there's, we're very much on the same page. We're very creatively aligned. So, as soon as I started getting a version of the script out, and gave a character breakdown to Heather, like, we just had a quick chat, and immediately she knew exactly what we were looking for for the project. And, we had quite a hardcore audition process where we saw loads and loads of really amazing young actors all around the country, and not some not even based in this country, because obviously it was all shot over video calls. So, and the audition process was so interesting, because usually auditions, if it's an in-person audition, you have to you see people in a room, but not on set or anything. It's not screen test really. But basically these were effectively, for all intents and purposes, screen tests, because what we were seeing on the screen was the actor in the situ that they would be in. They would have to shoot in their homes over video camera. So like it was actually a really great audition process, because you could really see what the actor would look like in the final product of the film. So it had its advantages in certain ways like that, but it was a really tough thing to do, to the casting process, to like, we really spent many hours sort of like poring over the different talent. But I think we got a perfect balance. I loved working with all of these guys, and they're so immensely talented, as you would have seen.
You absolutely did. You got an absolutely great cast and crew. I wanted to take that, and I wanted to say, because as a director, as a director, because you're usually the person who controls the because you're the person who's in charge of the vision. You're the person also in charge of the angle that you want it to look as well, the camera angles, the shots, and much more. Having that, I feel that, well, actually, did you feel that when you had to have others, like, the actors and the actresses and others, to sort of film themselves at home, did you sort of feel like that was sort of taken away from you? And did that feel a bit challenging for them, like, and for you as well? Because usually you're the person who says, actually, this is how I want it to look. Did you sort of worry that maybe some of them didn't maybe have the experience maybe before, how they wanted you to have that shot to look?
I mean, not at all. I think right from the genesis of the project, I knew what the cinematographic limitations of the project were going to be. Okay. So for me, in my mind, I basically very much wanted to focus on the interactivity of it, rather than, because I knew that it wasn't going to look like a film that like The Complex or White Chamber or any of the traditional properly shot films that I had done before. And I knew the actors, that this is not their area of expertise, but they all did a fantastic job, because they weren't just operating the camera themselves. They were lighting themselves. They were doing wardrobe for themselves. They were doing hair and makeup for themselves. They were doing production design for themselves, as well as having to focus on their performances, which is what their real crafts are. So I right from the beginning of even writing it, I was very, very conservative in my visual ambitions for the project, because also that's the best. You don't want to sacrifice the time that you can be taking to get, because it's a performance piece fundamentally. You want to be spending time getting as much great performance and interactive content. We've got 7-8 hours of stuff, of scenes, like 750 plus scenes in the whole thing. We wanted to focus on that, the content, the performances, the chemistry between the characters. That's what the focus of this project was, rather than doing anything that looked pretty. But I think for what it is, it's an aesthetic that we all now in the world, we're all so accustomed to seeing the people on the other side of screens now. So we definitely wanted to focus on just capturing the reality of that, in its simplicity.
I mean, it's shot beautifully. I mean, you wouldn't even think that it was like done on a mobile or something. But Georgia said that apparently you guys sort of sent kit to everyone as well, and you had
as much as we could. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a tiny budget thing, so we couldn't send them, full on, lights and
red cameras,
a lot of stuff like that. And again, I think that would have just killed time. So what we did is we sent them all iPhone 11 Pros, I think. Because they're the most lightweight things, and most people can know how to operate smartphones nowadays. So we figured that would be the best way to get a good balance between quality footage, as opposed to just shooting from the laptop cameras, but as well as something that was easy to use. As well as we sent them small little lights as well that they could use. But I wanted to try and keep it as real. It's a funny one, because obviously now I'm just using natural light, and that's the real thing that most people who do video calls is they sit by a window and they use natural light when they're doing it. So I wanted to try and, I didn't want to send them all ring lights, because then they would all look like they were influencers, and it wouldn't look like these are normal everyday people trying to do digital dating. There'd just be a bunch of influencers trying to do, if that makes sense. So it was trying to, but also again, that you can't rely on natural light when you're shooting over a whole day. So there were a lot of kind of things that there was a vision that I wanted to make it look as naturalistic as possible. as naturalistic as video calls look these days. But also, you want good quality footage as well. So that was kind of the balancing act that myself and our amazing DOP, Harry Dash Stewart, who I've worked with plenty of times, that we were sort of juggling.
Well, you deserve a pat on the back, all of you, because you did a great job of it.
Oh, thank you, Ali. That means a lot, man. Thank you.
I wanted to ask, the next thing I wanted to ask was, yes, okay, this was an interesting one. So, okay, this might be a question that may be a bit too soon, but so I might need to bring the film, your last film, Complex in, okay?
The Complex, yeah.
The question itself is, what have you learned from users' experiences when they watch and play through your films? So I wanted to know what their experiences was, how they felt towards them when they were going through the game itself, and watching it at the same time. And did you get any sort of feedback from that? And it's like,
I think with the Complex, we generally got we did get some really good reviews. I mean, as everything, I think people quite enjoyed the interactivity, and I think that Bandersnatch, the Netflix interactive film that was released in December 2018, like that did a lot of good for the format in putting it, like, very much putting it on the map and giving it exposure to a mainstream audience. So that the whole concept of having options pop up on screen and a timer timing down and having to choose your choices, like it put it very much in the mainstream people's consciousness. So when a lot of people were coming to the Complex, obviously there had been interactive films made prior to Bandersnatch, like Late Shift and stuff like that, which was solely for consoles. But what Bandersnatch allowed was, a lot of people became familiar with the format or had some sort of familiarity with the format. So when it came to them playing the Complex, it wasn't that big a stretch, it wasn't that big it wasn't something so alien and so new, in the sense that Bandersnatch was. So they were able to, settle into the format of things quickly, and then enjoy the story and the game, the gameplay and the story of the film as it unfolded, rather than, get too bogged down in getting their head around this new kind of format. So I think that did a lot of good for us. So in general, a lot of people were, they were very, they've always been very receptive to the interactivity and enjoyed the new format. And I think at the end of the day, like any film, it's if you're telling a story that's interesting or had multiple stories that are interesting, people will respond. And so far in the Complex, it's the response has been pretty good. And hopefully, when 5 to 8's released next week, it will also be pretty good. So, keeping everything crossed.
I'll push for it. I'll push for it. Let's get you on me and everything.
That'd be amazing.
For me as a viewer, so not as a journalist, but for me as a viewer, I think it's a great way forward. I think it's a great way forward to sort of open up to this medium, because it's the idea of the interactivity and the fact that it sort of reels you in, and you are the story now. You become the story, and you sit in the front and see the POV of the whole sort of of the film, of the story itself. So you become the person. So for example, I'll be Vinny. I like that. I love that, because you can sort of choose your method. You can choose your path. But also it sort of makes you think on the spot as well, and it makes you question a lot of, it makes you do a lot of like self-questioning, a lot of self-discussions and thinking, well, actually, how do I take this path? And then it makes you think in your own real life, like, how should I be talking to a girl? Or how do I sort of like interact with this person? So hats down to you. I think that's great.
Oh, thank you.
And I'd love to see more of that happen. If So mentioning now that with the project that you've got with Georgia Hurst, is there anything else you can talk to us about that project? Or
not especially yet, but it will be very soon. It will be hopefully more stuff will start being released very soon about that. Yeah. So
is there any topics? Are there any areas or anything that you haven't discussed yet or haven't filmed yet that you would love to sort of open other people's eyes to, and also sort of take on yourself? So you've done the Five Guys, for example, with dating, interactive dating. You've done the Complex as well.
Yeah.
What other areas are there?
I mean, I've always been fascinated by all sorts of genres. I mean, I've always, I'm a viewer who's always been into all sorts of genres. So for me, my career, the start of my career took me down, into the genre world, which is somewhere I love, horrors, thrillers, sci-fi. That's a passion of mine. And it's a space that I still want to make stuff in, because I love it. But also, I think I've always enjoyed romantic comedies. I've always enjoyed dramas. If I find the right story, I've always enjoyed comedy. I've always enjoyed, all sorts of different genres. And I think, as I get older and more experienced, and I have different life experiences myself, and I think my palette will grow, and I want to tell different stories that cross genres and are in different genres. So it's kind of, it's part of the growth as a creative, and I don't really want to stay in the same genre too much all the time. But I would love to keep. It just depends on the story that I'm motivated and passionate about at the time, regardless of whatever genre it is. It's more story based, rather than any specific genre. So who knows what the next one I'll do will be.
Regarding, I want to go back to dating, and I want to ask: do you feel if someone was to take the concept of sorry, let me say that again. If someone was to take the concept of 5 dates,
film,
yeah, yeah, 5 guys, hey, different burgers. So,
yeah.
Sorry, I'll start again. If someone was to take the idea of 5 guys, sorry, oh shit, sorry, wait.
I'm gonna go get 5 guys for lunch. Like,
sorry, bro. Hold on, let me start this again. If someone was to take the concept of 5 dates, and they wanted to sort of take it like to the dating world that we have right now, so it's not like a game, and it's not like pre-recorded with the actors, but like with real people. So, for example, there's this website called Original Dating, right? Or like Date in a Dash. Okay. And they were all like, and they wanted to sort of take your film and take your concept and sort of make it for real life dating.
Okay.
And do it via the concept of gaming and use it, maybe like Nintendo Switch, etc.
Yeah.
Would you ever be interested in that idea?
I still don't. How would that work? As gaming wise, how would that work? Because you'd have people on video calls, and they'd be having a conversation, and then conversation topics would be chucked their way that they would have to make choices for, or
yeah, that's what I was thinking. That so I was thinking like you got people who are like who they sort of, so you'd make the software concept, right, that would help engage for that platform, like for the concept of the film to go by and the game to go by, and that, but then you'd switch, so people would then log in with the like Zoom calls, for example, let's say Zoom for now, and then they would sort of all be, and then somehow the sort of software or something sort of would interact to you all, so you would then be able to sort of step forward with the gaming mechanism to sort of help choose your right date. Or to ask your date the certain questions.
Yeah.
And then, it sort of narrows you down to the right person you want. And if not, then you just go abide and get the next person. Do you know what I mean? Like on another date, another time sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that there are loads of different dating apps out there that are all incorporating all sorts of different, different USPs. So I think something like that would be pretty, it would be pretty fun as long as everyone was on there, having a good time and respecting it, as it is with any of these sort of dating apps. As long as people are respectful and there for the right reasons and there to have a good time. And it could be enjoyed in good, in good spirit, and people could actually make meaningful connections on that. I think that's the key on there. People who go on dating apps, there's always an element of they're putting themselves out there, and they're making themselves open to meeting new people, and they want to have good interactions. So I think as long as it was done in a really respectful way in that sense, but that would be great fun. I think you just look at something like Twitch and the rise of streaming and TikTok and stuff like that. People connecting with people sharing their content and people interactively. That connections are being built that way more and more now. So I see no reason why that why couldn't people bond over a game dating wise over a sort of gaming concept? Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. That's all I wanted to ask, Paul. Yeah, sorry, that last question I was just really curious to know, because like I was basically, so I was talking to Georgia about it. Like basically, so she did online virtual dating on Sunday, and I've basically got one tonight. So,
oh, no way, cool.
Yeah. So beforehand, I was thinking, oh, that would be a really interesting idea. I wonder if Paul doesn't mind if I ask that question and see what he thinks of the concept, if it ever went that direction, and also it's his idea. So anyway, so that I was just really curious to ask that. But anyway, mate, thank you so much.
No, thank you so much too, Ali.
Thank you so much for talking to me today. Thank you so much for answering. Thank you so much for your time and for making time to talk to me again. Congratulations
Likewise.
on the film. Absolutely amazing. I'll get it out within, by latest by tomorrow morning, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, perfect.
Is there anything within the interview that we've done that you feel like you wanted to add, or was there anything that you want me to sort of look over again, or are you happy with everything?
No, just, I mean, and you've done enough of these to know what looks good and what doesn't look good, and what people will be interested in and what people won't be interested in. So I'll leave it in your good hands, man. I'll leave it in your good hands.
Thanks, man. Okay.
And good luck for the date. Good luck for the date tonight.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Definitely. Good luck for it.
You know what? I'm going to give it a go. I've never done this virtual dating thing before. Let's see how it goes. I'll let you know.
Yeah, no, please do. Please do. I'd love to know. Good luck with it, man.
Okay. Thank you, man. Okay, take care. Have a great day. And I'll keep in contact with you, okay? I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thank you.
Cheers, Ali. Have a good one, man. See you.